Ever since I was a little girl, I dreamed of my wedding day. The dress, the flowers, the laughter echoing under a canopy of stars. Now at 18, that dream was becoming a reality. I was engaged to the love of my life, Jake, a kind-hearted 19-year-old with eyes that seemed to hold entire galaxies. We set our wedding date for the middle of October, hoping to capture the golden hues of autumn in our celebration. Planning a wedding is no small feat, especially when both families are vast and sprawling like ours. To put it into perspective, my mother is one of 8 siblings. Each of her 7 brothers and sisters has their own bustling household, filled with children of all ages. Family gatherings are less like intimate dinners and more like mini-festivals, complete with a cacophony of laughter, debates over who makes the best potato salad, and the occasional friendly soccer match that inevitably ends with someone falling into the pool. Jake's family isn't much smaller. His parents each have several siblings, and family reunions often require rented halls to accommodate everyone. We wanted our wedding to be intimate, something that felt personal and heartfelt, so we decided on a smaller scale event, inviting close friends and immediate family. But small is a relative term when your immediate family could populate a small village. The guest list quickly ballooned, and we found ourselves grappling with the logistics of seating arrangements, catering numbers, and the ever-sensitive issue of who sits next to whom to avoid reigniting decade-old feuds over borrowed lawnmowers and forgotten birthdays. Budget constraints added another layer of complexity. We were young and just starting out in life. Jake was apprenticing as a mechanic, and I was taking night classes in fashion design while working part-time at a local boutique. Every penny counted. We scrimped and saved, cutting corners where we could without sacrificing the essence of what we wanted our day to be, a celebration of love surrounded by those who mattered most. One of the biggest expenses looming over us was the wedding dress. As someone passionate about fashion, I felt torn between the allure of a brand new gown and the practicality of our budget. One evening, as I sketched dress designs at our kitchen table cluttered with fabric swatches and invitation samples, I had an idea. What if I redesigned or upcycled an existing dress? It would not only save money but also allow me to infuse my personal touch into something deeply meaningful. I shared this idea with my mother over a cup of chamomile tea, the steam curling between us like whispered secrets. She looked at me thoughtfully, her eyes crinkling at the corners the way they always did when she was about to impart wisdom. "Your grandmother used to say that old things carry the stories of those who held them before," she mused. "Maybe you can find a dress with a story waiting to be continued." Inspired, I began exploring options, thrift stores, vintage boutiques, even contemplating sewing a dress from scratch. Word must have spread through the family grapevine because a few days later, I received an unexpected message from my cousin Megan. Megan, at 40, was one of the eldest cousins on my mother's side, a side of the family known for its strong-willed women and intricate dynamics. She and I hadn't been particularly close. The 22-year age gap and our vastly different life experiences saw to that. She was my mom's oldest sister's daughter, making her both my cousin and, in some ways, a figure who straddled the line between peer and elder. Her message was brief. "Heard you're looking for a wedding dress. I have mine if you're interested." I stared at the screen, surprised. Memories of Megan were few and far between, a fleeting presence at family reunions, her laughter ringing from the periphery, always a bit detached from the core hub of activity. I vaguely recalled her wedding back in 2015, a grand affair that was the talk of the family for months. The marriage, however, was short-lived. Her husband, whose name I struggled to remember, had been a distant figure, rarely attending family functions. Rumors whispered of control issues and unhappiness, but nothing was ever confirmed. Curiosity piqued, I replied, expressing my gratitude and arranging a time to meet. The following Saturday, I found myself driving to Megan's house, a quaint cottage nestled at the edge of town, surrounded by towering oak trees whose leaves were just beginning to turn shades of amber and crimson. Butterflies fluttered in my stomach as I knocked on her door, unsure of what to expect. Megan opened the door with a warm, albeit reserved, smile. Her auburn hair cascaded over her shoulders, and her green eyes held a hint of melancholy that seemed to deepen as she led me inside. The house was cozy but minimalist, decorated with abstract art and shelves filled with books on philosophy and travel. It was clear that she valued experiences over possessions. "Thank you for considering this," she said, gesturing for me to sit on a plush armchair near the fireplace. "I heard about your wedding and thought this might help." She brought out the dress, carefully unwrapping it from layers of protective cloth. As the fabric unfurled, I gasped. It was exquisite, a vision of ivory satin with delicate lace appliques, a full skirt that seemed to flow like a river, and sleeves adorned with intricate beadwork. It was timeless yet held a vintage charm. "It's beautiful," I whispered, running my fingers gently over the lace. "Are you sure you want to part with it?" Megan shrugged, her gaze distant. "It doesn't hold any sentimental value for me anymore. It might as well bring joy to someone else." I hesitated. I was thinking of making some alterations to fit the theme of our wedding. Would that be okay? She met my eyes, a flicker of something unreadable passing over her features. "It's yours now. Do with it what you will." Relief washed over me, and I thanked her profusely. As I left, I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more beneath the surface of her composed demeanor, a story untold, perhaps wounds unhealed. Back home, I laid the dress out in my small sewing room, the afternoon sunlight casting a golden glow over the fabric. Ideas swirled in my mind. Our wedding was to be outdoors, set in a meadow surrounded by wildflowers and the gentle hum of nature. The grandeur of the dress, while stunning, didn't quite align with the intimate, earthy vibe we envisioned. I decided to make some modest alterations, shortening the hem to a T-length so it wouldn't drag in the damp grass, removing the sleeves to create a sleeveless bodice that allowed for more movement, and simplifying some of the embellishments for a more understated elegance. As I worked, I felt a connection forming, not just to the dress but to the history it carried. Each stitch was a blend of the past and the future, weaving together stories of love, loss, and new beginnings. I imagined the dress's journey, from the hopes and dreams Megan might have once held to the fresh start Jake and I were embarking upon. Weeks passed, and the dress transformed. My mother and friends were thrilled with the result, their praises boosting my confidence. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a rosy hue across the sky, my mother suggested taking a photo to commemorate the moment. "You look radiant," she said, snapping a picture as I twirled, the skirt swaying gracefully around me. "Maybe we should send this to Megan," she suggested. "A way to show our appreciation." I hesitated for a moment, recalling the enigmatic expression she'd worn when I last saw her. But dismissing my doubts, I agreed. "Sure, let's send it with a thank you note." My mother composed a heartfelt message and attached the photo, hitting send with a satisfied smile. We settled into the evening, unaware of the storm brewing on the other side of that message. Later that night, my phone buzzed with an incoming call. Megan's name flashed on the screen. Expecting perhaps a polite acknowledgement, I answered cheerfully. "Hello, Megan. Did you get the picture?" Silence hung heavy for a moment before her voice, cold and clipped, sliced through the air. "I saw it," she said flatly. "I can't believe what you've done." Taken aback, I stammered, "I'm sorry. Is something wrong?" "You should have asked me before you decided to ruin my dress," she snapped, her words laced with bitterness. Confusion and hurt welled up inside me. "I thought you said I could make alterations." "I didn't realize." "Alterations? You've butchered it. If you thought it was so ugly, you should have gotten your own dress." Her accusation hit me like a physical blow. "Megan, I never said it was ugly. I loved it. I just needed to make some changes to fit our wedding," she scoffed. "It's too different now. I could never wear it again." A mix of frustration and sorrow bubbled within me. "I asked if you wanted it back, and you said you didn't. You said it didn't hold any sentimental value." "Well, I didn't expect you to slut it up," she hissed. Heat rose to my cheeks, a mixture of embarrassment and anger. "That was never my intention. I respected the dress and its history." "Clearly, you have no respect," she retorted before abruptly hanging up. I stood there, the dial tone echoing in my ear, disbelief washing over me. What had just happened? My mother, noticing my pale face, approached with concern. "Sweetheart, what's wrong?" I relayed the conversation, my voice quavering. She said I ruined her dress and that I should have asked her permission. My mother's brow furrowed. "But she gave it to you. And she knew you planned to alter it." "That's what I thought," I murmured, sinking into a chair. Over the next few days, the situation escalated. Megan began spreading hurtful rumors within the family, telling anyone who would listen that I had slutted out her wedding dress and was trying to outshine her original wedding. Her mother called mine, berating me as a spoiled brat who took advantage of Megan's kindness. Family gatherings became tense minefields. Whispers followed me at my cousin's birthday party, and some relatives began giving me disapproving glances. The joyful anticipation of my wedding was tainted by the weight of unjust judgment. One evening, seeking solace, I visited my grandmother, a wise woman with a gentle soul and a knack for seeing through to the heart of matters. We sat on her porch, the scent of her rose garden enveloping us as twilight painted the sky. "Tell me what's troubling you, dear," she said softly. I poured out the whole story, tears finally spilling over. "I don't understand why she's doing this. I never meant any harm." Grandmother listened attentively, her eyes reflecting compassion. When I finished, she reached over and clasped my hand. "Megan has been carrying burdens you know nothing about," she began. "Her marriage was a painful chapter, one she hasn't fully healed from. Giving you the dress might have stirred emotions she wasn't prepared to face." I sighed. "But she said she didn't care about it anymore." Sometimes we tell ourselves we're ready to let go, but when confronted with reality, old wounds resurface. I contemplated her words. "So what should I do? Should I find another dress?" She shook her head gently. "This is your wedding, your moment to shine. You've done nothing wrong. Reach out to her once more if you feel it's right, but don't let her pain overshadow your joy." Taking her advice to heart, I decided to write Megan a heartfelt letter, expressing my gratitude and apologizing for any unintended hurt. I explained my perspective, hoping to bridge the growing chasm between us. Days passed with no response. Then, one afternoon, Jake approached me, a troubled look on his face. "What's wrong?" I asked, sensing his unease. He hesitated before saying, "Megan contacted me." Surprise flickered through me. "What did she say?" He took a deep breath. "She expressed concerns about your dress, implying that you weren't taking the wedding seriously. She even questioned whether I was sure about marrying you." My heart sank. "Why would she do that?" He wrapped an arm around me. "Don't worry. I told her that the effort you've put into the dress shows how much this means to you. I also made it clear that her comments were out of line." A mixture of gratitude and frustration welled up. "Thank you for standing up for me. I just don't understand why she's attacking us like this." "It's not about the dress anymore," he said thoughtfully. "It seems like she's projecting her own issues onto you." As if on cue, my phone buzzed with messages, this time from other family members. Some cousins expressed doubts about attending the wedding, having heard rumors that it was a cheap shotgun wedding and that Jake was only after our family's money. I felt a surge of indignation. This has gone too far. Jake squeezed my hand. "We can't control what others say or believe. All we can do is focus on us." Determined not to let negativity overshadow our happiness, I made the difficult decision to uninvite Megan. I called her, steeling myself for the confrontation. "Megan," I began when she answered. "I think it's best if you don't attend the wedding." A bitter laugh echoed on the other end. "As if I wanted to witness your farce of a marriage." I took a deep breath. "I'm sorry things have turned out this way. I wish you healing and peace." She scoffed. "Save your pity. You'll need it when he leaves you." The line went dead, and I sat there, a mixture of sadness and relief washing over me. In the weeks leading up to the wedding, I focused on surrounding myself with positivity. Friends and family who supported us rallied around, helping with preparations and offering words of encouragement. My mother reached out to relatives who had been swayed by Meghan's rumors, clarifying misunderstandings and reaffirming the truth. The day of the wedding arrived, bathed in the golden glow of October sunlight. As I slipped into my dress, now imbued with layers of meaning and effort, I felt a sense of calm wash over me. The mirror reflected not just a bride but a woman who had navigated challenges with grace. The ceremony was held in the meadow we'd chosen, wildflowers swaying gently in the breeze. As I walked down the aisle, I caught sight of Jake waiting for me, his eyes filled with love and certainty. My earlier sneeze, a product of the lingering pollen, broke the tension, eliciting warm laughter from our guests and lightening the atmosphere. The reception that followed was a tapestry of heartfelt speeches, laughter, and joyous dancing under a canopy of stars. My aunt, Meghan's mother, approached the podium at one point, her demeanor composed yet carrying an undercurrent I couldn't quite place. Her speech began conventionally enough, but soon veered into a thinly veiled recounting of Meghan's wedding and the original dress. While her words carried a hint of passive aggression, I chose to focus on the positive, grateful for the love that surrounded us. Later, as twilight deepened and lanterns cast a warm glow over the festivities, I found myself reflecting on the journey we'd taken to get here. Despite the obstacles, we'd created a day that was authentically ours, a celebration of love, resilience, and new beginnings. In the days that followed, messages poured in from guests praising the wedding and expressing how much they had enjoyed themselves. Even some who had initially doubted or distanced themselves reached out, rekindling connections. As for Meghan, I heard through the grapevine that she was focusing on her own healing, perhaps prompted by the confrontation of unresolved feelings. While our relationship might never return to what it was or wasn't, I harbored no ill will, hoping she would find peace. One afternoon, as I was tidying up, I came across leftover fabric from the dress alterations. An idea sparked. Gathering the pieces, I decided to craft a quilt, a symbol of transformation and continuity. Each patch would represent a memory, a lesson, a fragment of the journey. As I sewed, I thought about the interconnectedness of our lives, the way our stories overlap and influence one another. The quilt became more than a project. It was a testament to growth, forgiveness, and the beauty that can emerge from hardship. I considered sending it to Meghan as an olive branch but decided against it. Perhaps one day our paths would cross again and we'd find closure. Until then, I would carry forward, embracing the future with hope. Jake and I settled into married life, navigating its rhythms with the same partnership that had carried us through the challenges before. We laughed often, supported each other's dreams, and cherished the simple moments, cooking dinner together, stargazing from our porch, sharing stories late into the night. The dress, now a cherished keepsake, hung in our closet, a reminder of love's resilience. Occasionally, I'd contemplate dyeing it a new color, perhaps wearing it again for an anniversary or special occasion. This journey wasn't over, much like ours had only just begun. In the end, the ordeal with Meghan taught me valuable lessons about empathy, boundaries, and the complexities of human emotions. Life isn't always straightforward, and people carry unseen burdens that can influence their actions. While we can't control others, we can choose how we respond, with kindness, integrity, and a commitment to our own truth. As I penned this reflection, I felt a sense of closure. Sharing my story was cathartic, a way to process the experiences and perhaps offer insights to others facing similar challenges. To anyone reading, I hope my journey reminds you of the importance of staying true to yourself, even when faced with adversity. Life is a tapestry woven with threads of joy, sorrow, love, and conflict. It's up to us to find the beauty in the patterns and embrace the journey with an open heart.